Trader.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing okay here for your Wednesday morning, 11th of October. Actually moving through our first 2 weeks study here of the quarter, so we should probably check that out. Let's go on over to the YouTube page and see if anybody's even over there. Let's see, how on earth do I do that? I don't know, it's kind of weird how we're a little bit off plan here this morning. But anyway, it is what it is. Kind of a weird day in crude, for this top step combine, in that made it sort of a religious quest, if you will. I don't know. To be the demonstrator of best practices and to make sure that if I'm going to take setups, they're setups that I teach you guys in the education program. So unfortunately, but I think I can't remember whether I showed this publicly or not, but we had a really cool bull bear battle line setup here off of the daily charts on crude, and that the bears won the battle, and prices now are fully heading into the price gap. Probably saw a little bit of play at the high tag of the high there. You can see the low of today's candle was right into that level. So while that was going on, I didn't really have any bot setups or anything to take me to the downside. I just sort of had to sit and watch it play out. It kind of sucks because I really didn't do much here this morning. So, woke up this morning getting ready. We had econs that came out first thing this morning. I suppose we can talk a little bit about that. Inflation numbers a little bit firmer than expectations, but we have been expecting the inflation numbers to tick up a little bit here. Then we had the pit open. Lots of funny business around the pit, washing both the lows and the highs. And then as soon as the sort of retail business kicked in, cleaning out the lows, and I suppose lower highs and lower lows, moving averages all pointing down, we just went into puke out mode. So unfortunately, don't really have anything set up for me. Maybe there's potentially something setting up here this morning off of that ultimate puke out bottom, and as we said, that gap is still open to the downside here. I have a feeling they're probably sort of cleaning up the oversold condition. It's probably going to be a tag of the VWAP kind of idea, and then probably a push to the downside here on some sort of divergence to ultimately mark the low of this move, because candle bodies themselves should fill in this gap here. So I'm not really one to believe that that's some sort of start a new bull move. In fact, what I would say here is the crude oil market was basically in free fall. We had that very odd event there in Israel, which doesn't make any sense at all. And I keep seeing more and more people around the world and around the interneting and stuff going, this doesn't make any sense at all. This is like literally suicide by the Palestinians. And from what I understand, the Israelis are just going crazy. The death and destruction is just awful. But, is this, and if anything, what I think is happening is the entire sort of, the Taliban of all people, the Taliban are saying, we're all about peace and we're all about friendship. And, if anything, can we come on over and give you a hug? Taliban of all people. So I think the oil market kind of went, yeah, you know what? This doesn't have any traction. And it's the bear is resuming its march. Now, I suppose if we come down, fill in the gap, turn around, and this turns into some sort of big ass W, then I could see this thing rock and roll higher. But for the time being, I don't buy it, and I don't think the market's buying it either. If anything, this is probably a good example where you don't take a trade on a break of a trend line. You actually have to get some sort of bullish structure on the other side. And like I said, I can't remember whether I did this with the public or whether it was just in the after party yesterday, but a really good example of that bull bear battle line concept, that if we had ticked up through this high, which would have meant that we cleared through these moving averages, then that would have been a bull flag, which probably would have taken us back up top here. The fact that we confirmed the inside bar failure is actually a sell signal unto it itself. And like I said a second ago, I would say the statistical odds are we're probably going to have to walk our way down this trend line. Probably interesting how 200 SMA here on this November contract will probably be into December by then. But it probably is going to intersect with that trend line being retagged here. So I don't really see much there. Interesting how the stock market kind of stalled out here, though. And of course, Bitcoin is probably a good leading indicator for the market. Is now actually Bitcoin has confirmed a double top breakdown. So we talked about this double top through the broiler chicken show. Fairly well-defined trading range. And you can clearly see we have lost that structural support level. And, if you actually just change this, maybe it'll be easier for you to see the smile. If we change this to a line chart, can you see up, down, up, fail? And on a clothesline basis for this daily chart, really that came in just, actually a day or so ago. So looks to me like the sellers are in control. This also is another great example of maybe that should be the clip here for today, Chris. Using trend lines to trade. This is not a buy signal. And if you get sucked into buying this break of this trend line, we go an M out, not W, M out on the other side of it. And now what we're probably going to do, kind of like that crude oil chart I just showed you a second ago, is we're probably going to walk our way down that trend line from the other side. If anything, I've probably shown you enough examples in these free videos for us to actually even like teach a little mini course on all these free offerings about how you trade trend lines and why so many people in the public lose money by just buying blindly trend line breakouts. That's very dangerous. So anyway, it is what it is. If I understand correctly, and I'm not sure. Caroline Ellison, I think that's her name. Could have it. I could have butchered that. But if I understand correctly, she's basically throwing SBF under the bus as hard as she can, and the rhetoric coming out of that trial it's not positive. And interestingly enough, we are after the fact enough. And actually, I was really pleased to see that people had commented in the pro room because, as the signals come in, then in the pro room, they are commenting about them. And actually one gentleman was like, wow, this is pretty nifty. But we had a pretty nasty failure there in crypto, both in the crypto top 30 and the universe, a really clean signal there. And that got, if you shorted, I think I'm the type of guy, like I don't really like shorts because it's open-ended liability. But if you are the shorting type, I think our algo just is either long. Actually, I don't know whether it's short. I think it's just either long or on the sidelines. But let's see, where is, I think we're tracking it on Kraken here. Is it this one? Yeah, here we are. So our most recent sell signal came in right up there. So breadth indicator, if you had taken the trade, then obviously you're a happy camper. And these algo signals, they really do. It's quite remarkable how they sort of capture the market movement. And then the question here is, does the next buy signal come? Because this could very easily turn into like a head and shoulders pattern, where that's a shoulder, this is the neckline, this is the head. Then we come back up, do a shoulder here, and then break out to the upside. And then the algo turns back bullish over here. So, I am debating about whether, if you do decide to take like a short signal here, whether you have like built in, I have to book some profits on the way down or the way up. Like the exact same thing happened on the other side, where the buy signal came in here was interesting. There's the W that eventually came in, huge rally to the upside. So the algo caught that nicely. And this is, if anything, what you kind of want to see. So you want to force yourself to be on the right side of the market as the market's moving up. And then as things roll over, you're either short on the right side of the market, or you're just out of the market and you're just sitting on the sidelines. And with something like this, if we get a really big move, which definitely is a possibility, because as I said, the daily charts are now puking out here. I mean, we might come all the way down against these lows in a heartbeat here. You just don't know. But at least the algo has you on the right side of the market. So super, super pleased to see the performance out of the algo here. It's doing exactly what I had hoped it would be doing. So that looks good. Unfortunately, if you're a crypto bull, you're kind of like, well, Brian, this sucks worse, what's. So, and I empathize with you. Was pretty lucky the other day to get off a really nice win on that loom. I don't know whether it's coming back down to earth or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a little bit of weakness out of that guy now, because that was an awfully big move. And I actually am thinking about just going and buying the position right back if we get down to 78.6s and those kind of fun things. So yeah, there it is. Well, 19 and change. I wouldn't be surprised though if this starts now setting up things like bearish divergences and stuff. And actually, we'll do a Coinigy show tonight. Man, maybe we can dissect this in earnest through that show. But I mean, look at that move. Is it not maybe a smart idea to pay yourself a little bit, considering how hard this job is? And you can see the MACD is not making new highs. Willie is technically stupidly overbought now. RSI is even in divergence. The volume has really backed off. So, I mean, if you haven't paid yourself on this move, you get off your butt and do something. Hell, even the old man did something. So, and just to circle around, because we always like to give you like free little ideas here and stuff in these shows. I tell you, I really like this FXS. Every day I look at it, it's just looking better and better. Reload zone within a reload zone. And look at the fight going on here down here at this low. So we had like an inside bar that fired, then they went after those lows. Now you can see another inside buy fired here. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's no guarantees from the management, but this kind of looks like a good old Adam, and then I suppose Eve to a certain degree. But if we did get a trade up through these highs here, then I think this thing's off to the races. So interesting how crypto's kind of getting bitch slapped here, Bitcoin in particular. But this guy here, he's bucking the trend up 3.5% on the day. No guarantees from the management. You never know what's going to happen in this space, but it is encouraging to see names bucking the overall crypto trend like that. So we'll see how that goes. Only time will tell. And we'll probably talk quite a bit of crypto here tonight with Joe and the good people at Coinigy. So we'll leave it at that. And actually, I even heard, I don't know, fingers crossed, our old buddy Ben from the Wednesday shows when I used to run them myself. He's thinking about maybe coming on a Friday show and talking to us a little bit about his Litecoin matrix and how all that's going. So fingers crossed, would love to see Ben again, have a chat with him. As for the broader market, sort of what's going on in the world, or demonstration of best practices, if you fancy yourself a day trader, probably you ought to get into sort of a routine. I actually, if I was going to teach this day trader program, I haven't really been taking a lot of setups because frankly, nothing's setting up and I'm supposed to be the demonstrator of best practices. So I'm not going to go and force trades. But you know, I'm on my routine. I'm getting up on time. Actually had a half decent sleep overnight. Went through all the processes. Computer's doing good. Diet and exercise, not bad. I've been feeling relatively okay. Getting good sleeps. You know, what is the backdrop of our day? You know, government bond yields edge lower. I think that's part of the reason why the stock markets around the world have been doing better. You see that Japan was up a little bit overnight. So on balance, I would expect, you know, I can see a lot of green here. We do have the Fed minutes coming out later on today. In fact, in about an hour and 40 minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are a little bit suspect over what those Fed minutes are going to say. That might explain why the stocks are actually off a little bit here in North America. You can see the data coming out of Asia is a little bit more positive. As I said, Japan actually enjoying a bit of a rally. I was just beat dead tired yesterday. I was, of course, up for day trading, and then I taught a class that was 3 hours long, and I was a little bit bitchy with the students. So my apologies, students. But you know, by time 5, 6 o'clock rolled around, I just was like not interested, and so I didn't do the SOF meeting last night. You know, people on the site, you're more than welcome to meet in my absence. You don't necessarily have to have me there, but I don't think the group got together last night, so we didn't really do a lot of review. But it is interesting how we talked a little bit about how Francis had a Japanese stock market short working and that it came into an interesting level. And all of a sudden now we see that the stock market is jumping back up there. So what was that? That was EWJ, if I'm not mistaken. Japanese index fund, the ETF. So you can see it has rallied back smartly here. Of course, we were watching the China fund recently, and I suppose I have all those charts drawn up, and also I suppose the China trade and all that nonsense. Although I'm not quite sure, FXI, I think that's probably where we had it. So you can see they're enjoying a bit of a dead cat bounce here, and like I said, China I think is enjoying a bit of a dead cat bounce as well. So we'll see how these Fed minutes play out, but you know, sort of why or what's that reference with regard to the overnight news? Government bond yields edge lower, stocks are happier. If we actually look at the bonds, you know, our little matrix, we talked about this on the Broiler Chicken show and recent shows, and we had sort of conjectured, number one, was the inflation deflation gauge going to finally stall out now that it's hit these harmonic objectives, A, B, C, D? Pretty straightforward. There are a couple other ones that are floating out there, like this really big one going back a few years, A, B, C, D, still up there a little bit. This is a line chart, and it's nothing more than just a spread. So you might find that, oh no, I was wondering whether maybe we had a big wick that jumped up there, but it doesn't look like that. So anyway, the question here ultimately is, are these things topping out? Are they exhausted? And you know, I think, you know, the talking heads, whoever the news letter writers are, you know, like that screen that I just showed you there a second ago, these people, I think they're seeing this. And then also specifically, maybe not so much Brian's crazy indicators, but here is the 10-year yield. And, you know, I suppose if you're worried about interest rates and, you know, things like the mortgage market and stuff, you know, our analogy is, what are we supposed to think if we ever see the market smiling at us? This, if anything, is a good thing for the consumers, because it means maybe interest rates have topped out. I just wonder whether, you know, same thing as that TLT tip spread. Whether maybe we're a little bit hasty in calling a long-term top here. But we definitely have the smatterings of a top in yields. And then sort of the exact opposite of that would be a bottom in bond prices. So, do we actually have bottoms? Just keep it simple, right? Let's see. Do we have W's on things like daily and weekly price charts? Actually, we'll leave that lower time frame and we'll go up here. So here's our daily futures chart. You can kind of see that WE type action in this. We did make new lows here on this tail though. Looks like a 3-bar fractal. We had 8 there on the Tom DeMark, so probably getting a bit exhausted. You can see 8s and 9s when we're probably running out of steam, need to rally. Got an 8 on the upside here. Maybe the rally's a little bit exhausted. Sometimes Tom DeMarks, though, don't really pick bottoms. It's almost like a midpoint consolidation. So if anything, great analogy. Don't use just one reason to justify a trade. But, we can see that there was an 8 in there. This is the daily price chart. We could probably even zoom out to like a weekly price chart. I don't know. I'm not really getting a hell of a lot of levels to work with. Yeah. If anything, what probably this looks like to me is that's the weekly chart. This is the ATR script. That's why ATR goes a little screwy on the weeklies. There we go. What probably is going to have to happen here now. I mean, we're out of this sort of huge V swings where, look left and you're like, oh my God, there's a mile lower. We're now into probably what you would consider like traffic. So you can see that if you look back over time, now that we're sort of down into this area, you can see it goes sort of down, then back up, then down, then up, then down, then up, then down, then up, then down, et cetera, et cetera. Just lots and lots of back and forth, basically all along this line, right? So, I mean, I just eyeballed it, but is that what our chart's going to look like? So the oh my God, interest rates are going straight to the moon, right? It's nowhere but I think those days are probably behind us. Now we're going to get into a period where I wouldn't even be surprised if interest rates kind of stabilize and actually we stop talking about interest rates. Higher for longer, though. I mean, there is no bull market here. That's for absolute certain. It's just, I think the sort of face rip double digit sort of percentage moves in interest rates. I think those days are probably done. And what do you think the odds are? I mean, this is a weekly chart, but what do you think the odds are that there's probably a bullish divergence that's developing through here? It's building. You can see these lows here are higher than this low. You can see there was a big div already in there. Then a bearish div, which kind of said, okay, get ready for more down. But you can see on the weekly chart, Willie is officially stupidly oversold. So is this the kind of market where we want to really get too uber bearish now here? I don't think so. If anything, there's probably going to be some sort of capitulation event. We are into that eclipse season. And then we actually, this to me, just in the short term, looks like a head and shoulders. So left shoulder, neckline, head, back to the neckline, shoulder, that's sort of that back and forth, back and forth. I kind of like that thinking in there. And also too, this is October, so we were expecting, buy when it snows, sell when it goes. We should get some sort of capitulation dump, sort of crescendo of panic and fear in the marketplace here through October, which sets the base for November. And then we have a little bit of a counter trend rally, Santa Claus rally, whatever you want to call it, into the end of the year. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the interest rate front here now, for whatever it's worth. I don't know if it's worth that much or not. Stocks, like we said, we've got that Fed minutes coming up here in about an hour and a half. We did have a pretty precipitous rally off of the lows yesterday. Got lots of buy signals all over the place, like individual names, W's spitting up. And of course, we had the breadth indicator turn back up. I don't really like the look of this, though. That's off of a new low straight up here. My hunch is that as we sort of approach the eclipse window in the end of October, which will be the other side. In fact, actually, Cole's coming on the Daily Brief broadcast on Friday to give us all an update on the after party celestial events, what to look for, how to approach this eclipse window. Incredible value added, definitely worth the subscription price for those Friday presentations by our special guests. But me personally, I don't like the look of this. I think if anything, what I'm worried about here is that all they're doing is they're relieving oversold condition, and there should be some sort of pullback here. And then maybe if we get like a consolidation along the moving average and it holds in and then we turn back up, then I'd be like, all right, we got the room to move here. Um, as it stands right now, I'm a little skeptical. I mean, I'm from Missouri, so we'll see what happens. Interesting to see too. Remember we saw over the past few days, like if we look back here, we actually had a little bit of an image where crypto actually was bucking the overall sort of market trend and trying to turn up. And unfortunately, with the crypto weakness that you're seeing in the market, I mentioned that FXS, but there's not a hell of a lot else. And I suppose the loom has already moved. Actually, one really cool way to use the website that I've been sort of talking to people about. In fact, actually, one gentleman pointed out that we needed to update the site, and Seward got right on it and fixed it. So I was really proud of Seward for that. You can obviously look at the breadth indicator. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool. And like you said, or I showed you there earlier, we got a great sell signal there and the market dumped. What you can do on this site is we follow the largest 30 market cap names in crypto, taking out, of course, all the stable coins and all that kind of stuff. And then we can, they have a technical ranking from lowest to highest. Interesting, BNB is the least ranked. And actually, some people were even conjecturing that, CZ is going to get his butt kicked here soon. I don't know. I'm skeptical whether CZ goes under or not. But anyway, but you notice how now I've ranked the top 30 coins from best and good old, what's that, XMR? That's Stellar Lumens. I think that's what XMR is actually the best rated name. But like what I love about the website is now I could actually just get a nice little grid view of the entire universe. XMR is bucking the overall trend. There's names that don't look like this at all. But now you can go through them. BCH, remember we were kind of commenting how BCH was pointing up here recently, but M top. Now, is that an A, B, C, D? You could probably measure that out. And do we come up against trend lines? Maybe keep an eye on him for a re-entry. This TRX was pretty popular of late, but you can see it's potentially breaking down here. Hasn't quite yet, but looking a little toppy. Remember that link? I was kind of thinking that link was wanted to push up, but it looks like it's stalled out a little bit here. ICP. Let's see how this guy acts against his lows. If we can get any kind of turn back up here over the next day or two, or maybe a few days, keep an eye on him. Algo and Algo ran, same sort of thing. Now, also too, though, you can kind of see it looks like a head and shoulders is potentially coming in here, which means we might get a push to the downside. LDO, actually, I was even looking at this one this morning. This does have a W working. It broke out. It's pulling back into support. If you're looking for names to consider, keep an eye on this one. And if he can turn around and put in W's and stuff off lower time frames, might have a half decent idea there. Okay, I definitely want to keep an eye on him. But this is the way that I would approach it. Like if you trade crypto, look at ADA here. Interesting. YW, but then an M. So you can see the bulls are trying to re-exert themselves. The bears are active here. If you get a nice little W that can come in here, you see where the 200 period moving average is a long way up. But this is such a cool tool where you can just load it up every day, and all you're doing is hunting for them W's. And obviously, with the breadth looking the way that it is right now, maybe we ought to cool our jets a little bit while the breadth is looking like this. I mean, everything's Emmy out. Yeah, I guess look, as we scroll through these charts, it kind of makes sense what we're seeing a lot of M's out of these things. So maybe you ought to just cool your jets until that breadth indicator W is out. You see the breadth indicator W out, you pull up the grid, and away you go shopping, looking for those W's. Super, super cool. Anyway, there's a nice little sales pitch on how to use the breadth indicator in your day-to-day routine if you are trading. And you can do this in any market. Like we have this for obviously, if you trade big blue chip stocks, you can do this on the S&P 500. It's the same logic. This thing has turned up. So here is, I don't know whether we have them all in here. That's interesting. What are these? I don't know. Oh, all right. So I've already talked way too much. Oh yeah, there you go. So we got 502 entries in here. And it's the same logic, right? You can just simply screen these. These are obviously the worst stocks in the S&P 500. If you're looking for shorting ideas, I would take a look at those. Oh, we can flip it around. These are the best rated stocks now in the S&P 500. You can pull up a grid, and now you can just get in there and go shopping. Like, what is strong? And look at these things. Aflac. And look at that. Oh my goodness. Look at that cadence design. What a beautiful W that thing is. Could you just keep an eye on and any kind of pullback into moving average support? Maybe I'm going to pick up a little bit of that cadence design. It's not a bad idea. Anyway, so this platform is freaking awesome. Oh, look at Broadcom. In fact, actually, it was interesting. We were talking about how this was one of Fink's most favorite stocks. So you can like literally see trend line breaks, W's on other sides of trend lines, and it's getting ready to go. So yeah, look at this. Expeditors International of Washington. That looks like a big fat W within a W. Anyway, I could spend all day here going through this. I mean, it's a fantastic engine. Absolutely perfect. So way to go, Stewart and the team for bringing it home. Couple of, I suppose, signals that, well, maybe we shouldn't talk anymore dashboard. If you're interested, come on the site and maybe consider joining. And in November, of course, we're going to have our big, Black Friday deal, and hopefully we have an offer you just can't say no to. It's so attractive. Anyway, keep fingers crossed. Right, where should we go, and what time is it? It's basically we are at a half an hour. So I don't know whether there's a heck of a lot more I can add to the equation here today. As I'd said, probably what's going to help the market is the fact that the interest rates look like they are topping out. You can't really see it on that image, but over here, does this have legs? Is the market actually kind of a bit skeptical about this whole oil bull move? And I would imagine that if the bonds can't firm up here, that will be a little tell for you that maybe the market doesn't believe that this move higher in crude is for real. Stuff. We'll have to sort of watch that as we go. This is a lower time frame look at this. And I suppose, as we had said there a moment ago, the Fed is going to release their meeting minutes here shortly. So, if I was looking at the stock market and sort of wondering, what's direction, the algo turned back up. We've actually rallied into resistance. You can see the bull divs are trying to come in, but they haven't actually confirmed here yet. Willie never did really get stupid here on these ES futures. So this is, like I said earlier, I'm a little skeptical about that, how much legs this rally really has, because I think we're now starting to run into resistance. And if we paint an inside bar here, don't be surprised if the market has to start pulling back here a bit. And is this maybe like a case of old economy versus new economy? You can see old economy is down on the day. The bank stocks and all those kind of things probably going to be reporting earnings. And I would imagine they're not great. Is that nothing more than just a Wyckoff check of the original M structure top? And if this M structure top is legit, then we should be thinking things like Foggenbaums, 32,000, we'll call it on the downside. And maybe that dead cat bounce rally is doing nothing more than taking us into resistance. I'll tell you, if this inside bar here fires today, mind you, did we make new highs here? What is that? 78, 92. No, we didn't. So if this inside bar does fire here and we start melting back down, that was a V bottom right off of the lows. And if you draw a trend line off of this, that's actually support right there, way down there. So don't be shocked if there's a bit of a pullback here in the stock market. But Fed meetings minutes, like I said, coming out in about an hour and 20 minutes. And then we should probably start seeing some fireworks here following that and probably into early tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And then, as we had sort of said originally, conversation around Bitcoin is we have actually gone and put in a daily double top. You can see where I could buy and sell. I guess this is the daily chart. So right now, kind of floating out here in no man's land. Momentum looks pretty nasty here. Looks like we do have a confirmed bearish divergence here now on momentum. Yep, that's in there. So really, we can't be bullish of crypto until this resolves itself. This is another one of these. If you've ever seen me post it, you better cool your jets. So what I often do, and we'll end on this, is whenever you see a confirmed bearish momentum divergence, and oh, it doesn't even look like we have it. That's too bad. Frozen cool your jets. Let's see. Do we get something? Hey, there's a good one. Look at that one. He's totally frozen. Oh, here's our favorite one. So I always say to people, if you ever see a confirmed bearish momentum divergence, this is on the futures as well. There, boom. In fact, actually, we'll do the Coinigy show tonight, and we'll have a conversation with Joe. But my hunch is we're probably going to have a lot of talk about another confirmed bearish momentum divergence, which means that if you are a bull, unfortunately, you can actually see the divergence pretty well there. Boobity boo, boobity boo. As long as this is in place, and this might take a while to clean up, the bulls, you better cool your jets. So there you go. Merry Christmas. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Yes, indeed. Sjord is El Maestro. In fact, actually, Sjord taught me how to use 1-inch today. Not his 1-inch. But I actually sold the loom on the ledger itself the other day, and actually I got a pretty good price. Didn't cost me too much in fees. So now I think I'm between 1-inch and between just doing the transactions on ledger. I think actually I'm at the point where we don't really even need these centralized exchanges anymore, which is fantastic. Because the whole point of crypto and DeFi and all that is to get rid of those old legacy systems, right? So okay. The technical picture speaks for itself, folks. Don't fight this. Slow and steady wins the race. If anything, maybe let's check in on Sam Bankman-Fried trial and see if any horrible bombshells are being dropped about how corrupt and brutally criminal the activity within crypto is. And I should probably stop talking now, so I'm going to leave it at that. Have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.